Every second you hesitate, someone hungrier, someone more ruthless is outworking you. While you scroll, they're stacking wins. If you don't kill laziness, laziness will kill every dream you've ever had. You think you're lazy, right? You walk around calling yourself unmotivated, tired, and not in the mood. But that's not the problem. The problem is you don't know what the FCK you're doing this for. You're not lazy. You're just not locked in on a mission. You're not obsessed with anything. And when a man doesn't have a purpose, he defaults to pleasure. Scrolling, sleeping in, junk food, nonsense. You haven't declared war on the version of you that's comfortable being average. So of course, laziness rules your day. You've never given your soul a reason to fight. Let me tell you something, and I'm not speaking from theory. I've lived it. I used to be broke. Not metaphorically. I'm talking zero in the bank. Driving a car that coughed every time it started, living in a cold apartment where I'd boil water on the stove just to take a bath. I wasn't always this disciplined. There were days I sat on that cheap secondhand couch staring at the ceiling, wondering what the FCK I was even doing with my life. And every time I looked around, I saw nothing that screamed purpose, just survival. One day I had enough. I said, this is it. I either change or I rot here. But I didn't just write some fluffy goals like a get rich or a be successful. That doesn't wake you up at 5 a.m. That doesn't get you up when your body aches and your mind says quit. I built a vision so strong it terrified me. I saw myself in total control. Fast cars, freedom, power. Not for the show, but because I was tired of being weak, tired of being ignored, tired of pretending I didn't care when I knew I was built for more. I got specific. I wrote out what I wanted to earn, what I wanted to drive, how I wanted my body to look, how I wanted people to respect me when I walked in a room. And once I wrote it all down, I looked in the mirror and asked, what would that version of me do right now? The answer was never sleep in. It was never eat trash. It was never scroll. The answer was always to work, to move, to push. Because now I had something worth chasing. That's what most of you lack. You haven't made the cost of laziness feel. You haven't realized that every time you skip that workout, every time you waste an hour on Netflix, every time you break your promise to yourself, you're murdering your future self. You're delaying the life you were meant to live. And the worst part, you don't even know what that life looks like because you've never dared to picture it with real detail. You haven't gotten emotional about it. You think setting goals is a cute New Year's activity. I treat it like warfare. Every target I write down is a declaration of battle. No. And every day I wake up, I'm at war with the man who wants to be lazy, who wants to take the easy path. You don't kill that man by being soft. You kill him by being obsessed. Obsessed with the mission. Obsessed with building the life you swore you'd live. When I started kickboxing, I didn't win because I was talented. I won because I trained like a savage. I trained because I couldn't stand the thought of being a loser. That disgust is what drove me. I used it. I didn't let it make me depressed. I let it make me dangerous. And when the money started coming in, when the status grew, when I upgraded from that cold apartment to mansions and supercars, the mission changed, but the obsession stayed the same. Because I realized the truth. Once you stop chasing purpose, you start dying slowly. You either evolve or you evaporate. So when you tell me you're lazy, I don't hear a man who's tired. I hear a man who's lost, a man who hasn't defined his fight. You've got to pick something and go all in. I don't care if it's business, fitness, art, combat, whatever. Just stop floating. Choose. Declare war on your company. Build a mission that scares you, excites you, haunts you. Because once that fire's lit inside, laziness doesn't stand a chance. You'll never kill laziness until your purpose burns hotter than your excuses. You want to stop being lazy? Then make the consequences of staying lazy more painful than the temporary comfort you get from doing nothing. That's how you do it. People ask me, how did you get so disciplined? I didn't have a choice. I made failure unacceptable. I made losing feel like death. That's what you don't understand. You're too comfortable with failure. You've convinced yourself it's okay to fall short, to take it easy today, to try again tomorrow. That mindset is why you're stuck. You're negotiating with weakness like it's a business partner. You're letting laziness live rent-free because there's no cost. Let me tell you something. When I was broke, when I had nothing, failure already had a cost. Real-life consequences. couldn't pay rent, couldn't fix my car, couldn't take a girl out, couldn't even order food without checking my balance twice. Every bad decision slapped me in the face with reality. So I started building consequences into everything. If I didn't train, I'd lose fights. If I lost fights, I'd lose money. If I lost money, I couldn't eat. Simple, direct, painful. You want motivation? Starve for a week. Watch how fast your mindset shifts. I remember one time early in my fighting career, I got lazy, thought I was already good. Took a few days off training, went out, partied a little, skipped meals, thought I was untouchable. Got in the ring with a guy I should have destroyed. He beat me, embarrassed me. I bled. My face was cut. I could barely see out of one eye. The crowd didn't care who I was. They watched me lose, and they forgot about me in the same breath. That night, I looked in the mirror and said, and never again. That pain, that humiliation, that's a consequence. One I never wanted to feel again. And that's what made me relentless. You see, most of you have no fear of losing. You treat your dreams like they're optional. You tell yourself, I'll get it tomorrow, like the world owes you another day. But the clock is ticking. And if you don't impose consequences on yourself now, life will do it for you later. And life plays a crueler game. You'll wake up one day 10 years older, 10 years weaker, and you'll realize the worst pain of all, regret. You'll feel it in your chest, in your gut, in your bones, that cold, brutal realization that you could have been more, done more, lived more, but you chose comfort. You chose laziness, and now it's too late. So you want to kill laziness? Attach pain to it. Real pain. Say to yourself, if I skip the gym today, I don't get to eat junk food this week. If I waste an hour scrolling, I send $100 to someone I hate. Make it hurt. Make it sting. I've done that. I've literally paid people to watch me to make sure I performed. You think I'm joking? I once told a friend, if I don't hit my business targets this month, I'll give you my Rolex. I loved that watch. Wore it every day. And I didn't lose it because I knew I'd rather bleed than give it up. I built pressure. I turned my goals into obligations. That's how winners operate. People think pressure is the enemy. No, pressure is fuel. You just don't know how to use it. You want everything to be smooth, comfortable, stress-free. That's how average people think. That's how weak men justify laziness. But I never wanted average. I wanted power. I wanted control. So I built pressure into my life on purpose. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to become someone who couldn't tolerate mediocrity. You ever wonder why rich people stay rich? It's not because they relax. It's because the consequences get higher. More eyes watching. More mouths to feed. More enemies waiting. When I got successful, I didn't relax. I got sharper. I put more systems in place. I raised the standards. I raised the cost of slipping. Every time I thought about cutting corners, I remembered what was at stake. The empire, the family, the brand. You don't slack when the price of failure is everything you've built. You don't need more inspiration. You need punishment. You need stakes. So you need the fear of loss to be so real that skipping a task feels like betrayal. Until then, laziness will keep winning. You'll keep pressing snooze, skipping the gym, lying to yourself. Because right now, laziness costs you nothing, and that's the real problem. Attach pain to failure and watch how fast your discipline multiplies. You want to beat laziness. You want to dominate your life, your goals, your destiny. Then you need to understand one truth. It all starts the second you wake up. That first hour in the morning is life or death. It's war. And most of you are losing the battle before the day even begins. You roll over, you check your phone, you scroll, you moan, you snooze. You've already handed over control. You've already chosen weakness. And then you wonder why your day feels like shh. Why you're unmotivated, unfocused, drifting through life like a leaf in the wind. It's because you let the enemy inside the gate before you even stood. Back when I was broke, when I had nothing, no money, no real assets, just a worn out mattress on the floor, I didn't have the luxury to wake up soft. There was no ease into the dive for me. I had to start like a machine. There were mornings I woke up in a freezing apartment. No heating. No food in the fridge. Sometimes I'd go to bed hungry, and the hunger would wake me up before the alarm did. And in those moments, I had two options. Stay in the warm bed and pretend everything was fine, or get up, put my boots on, and attack the world like my life depended on it. Because it actually did. And that's what most of you don't get. You think mornings are just the beginning of the day. They're not. Mornings are where your identity is forged. If you roll out of bed like a loser, half asleep, complaining, the rest of your day follows that momentum. But if you get up like a soldier, sharp, focused, aggressive, you carry that energy into everything you do. You walk different. You speak different. You execute different. People feel it. Success feels it. That's why my mornings have never been random. They're structured, tactical, designed for war. You think that's excessive? Good. Winners are always excessive. Losers live in balance. Winners live in obsession. When I was still fighting professionally, my mornings weren't optional. I had to run, had to train, had to sharpen every edge. If I woke up late, my opponent gained ground. That was the mindset. I imagined the guy I'd be fighting one day. He's already up. He's already training. So if I sleep in, he gets better while I get weaker. That thought was enough to drag me out of bed in the pitch black, in the cold, in pain. Because I knew how much one lazy day could cost me in the ring. And the ring doesn't lie. You either prepared or you didn't. And if you didn't, you bled. Now I apply the same principle to everything: business, fitness, decision making. My mornings still start early. First thing, get out of bed without negotiation. No alarm snoozed. No laying around. You move with speed. You tell your body, I run the show. And then you do something hard. Cold shower, fasted cardio, writing, meditation, reading something powerful. Not entertainment discipline. Your first hour isn't about what you feel like doing. It's about doing what sets the tone. You commend your system. You remind yourself who the FSCK you are. CK. Most of you wake up like you've got nothing to prove. Like the world owes you a good day. It doesn't. It owes you nothing. And if you let comfort run your morning, don't be surprised when mediocrity runs your life. That phone you grab, that's not just a distraction. It's poison. You wake up and fill your head with memes, news, other people's opinions, and you expect to have clarity. Discipline, purpose. No. You start your day as a consumer, not a conqueror. You've already lost before you brush your teeth. I used to sleep with a notebook next to my bed. Why? Because the moment I woke up, ideas hit me. Goals, strategy, reflections. And I didn't want to lose them in the fog of laziness. I wrote down what I needed to execute that day, what I needed to avoid, what I was grateful for, and what I was pissed off about. That's another thing. Your anger is fuel. I'd remember what it felt like to be broke, to be ignored, to be underestimated. I'd replay every insult, every setback, and I'd funnel it straight into focus. That kind of energy in the morning builds momentum that nothing can break. You don't build a powerful life by chance. You build it through ritual, through repetition, through standards that don't bend just because you're tired, you're not feeling it. Your morning has to be your first victory, and not just once, every single sing day. Because that's how you build a reputation with yourself. That's how you destroy self-doubt. That's how you kill laziness before it even opens its mouth. If you don't win the morning, you've already surrendered the day. Everyone's obsessed with comfort. That's the real disease. You want a soft bed, warm food, perfect weather, no stress, no challenge, no pain. You want everything around you to feel nice so you never have to face what's inside you. But let me tell you the truth. Comfort is killing you. Slowly, quietly. Like a snake wrapping around your ambition and squeezing it out of existence. The more you chase ease, the more you lose your edge. You weren't born to be comfortable. You were born to struggle, to overcome, to conquer. And you've forgotten that because comfort has made you weak. I wasn't born rich. I wasn't born powerful. I didn't have doors open for me. I had to open every single one with blood on my knuckles. I didn't grow up in a mansion. I grew up watching people around me barely survive. There were nights I didn't eat what I wanted, not because I was cutting weight, but because that's all there was. There were winters where the heating didn't work and I'd sleep with my coat on, praying the morning came quick. But guess what? Those days made me. That discomfort didn't break me. It trained me. It taught me how to live without excuses. When you live with discomfort, you become dangerous. You build calluses on your mind. You stop being surprised when life punches you in the mouth because you expect it. You're already in the fight, but most of you avoid discomfort like it's poison. You'll do anything to stay in that bubble. Soft bed, fast Wi-Fi, unlimited snacks, filtered dopamine. You don't want real life. You want the illusion. You're hiding from resistance when resistance is the only thing that will make you strong. Every success I've had came after pain. Every level up in my life came after doing something that made me suffer. Waking up early when my body was screaming no. Training when my lungs burned. Saying no to the party, working when everyone else relaxed. That pain gave me power. It gave me control. And you think you'll get the same results without going through the same fire? Never. The universe doesn't reward the lazy. It rewards the obsessed, the relentless. The ones who run toward pain, not away from it. There was a time I had no plan B. I had just enough money to survive. One wrong move, one lazy week, and I was done. Finished. That pressure didn't scare me. It hardened me. I remember 1 month I was behind on bills and I had two options: sit around worrying or go all in and make something happen. I locked myself in a room and said, I don't leave until I solve this. No distractions. No food until it's done. No sleep if I have to. You don't find those gears when everything's easy. You only find them when you live with tension. That's why I say, choose suffering. Choose the cold. Choose the silence. Choose the fight. Make your life uncomfortable on purpose. Because when you control your discomfort, nothing external can break you. People say, oh, I'm not in the mood to work out today. Who gives a fuss, CK, about your mood? I don't do things based on how I feel. I do them because they must be done. That's the standard. That's how warriors move. That's how empires are built. You ever notice how the softest people complain the most? That's not a coincidence. Weak minds hate discomfort, so they find reasons to be offended, depressed, drained. But men who live in the furnace of pain, they don't have time to complain. They're too busy sharpening the blade. I remember training with broken toes, split lips, sore ribs, and I never thought about quitting. I thought about winning. I thought about the man I'd become if I kept pushing. That vision gave me energy when my body had none. You want to be disciplined? Then make your life harder. Wake up earlier, take the cold shower. Train when it's raining. Eat clean when you're starving. Turn off the music and sit in silence. Do the work when you're tired, not just when you're inspired. That's how you rewire your brain. That's how you kill the inner coward begging you to stay comfortable. You think champions got that way by doing what was easy? No, they embraced the pain. They married the grind. They stared into the abyss and didn't flinch. If you want to kill laziness, you have to kill comfort first. You have to decide right now that you're done living soft, that you're done treating discipline like a hobby, that you're ready to suffer because your goals are worth more than your feelings. Laziness doesn't survive in a life built around discomfort. Not everyone talks about time like it's free, like it's something you can waste today and somehow get back tomorrow. But time is the most ruthless currency on the planet. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you're tired, overwhelmed, or not in the mood. Once it's gone forever. And the truth is, most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they spend their time like amateurs. They let thieves into their life. Thieves that don't take money, they take minutes, hours, years. And the worst part, they invite them in. They open the door wide and let them walk all over their future. Distraction is the most lethal form of laziness. You don't even notice it happening. You tell yourself, I'm just checking my messages, and suddenly 30 minutes are gone. You click on one video, then another, and before you know it, you've wasted a chunk of your life watching other people win while you do nothing. You think you're relaxing, but what you're really doing is running from the work that matters. That's how laziness survives, not by doing nothing, but by doing everything except what you're supposed to do. When I was broke, I couldn't afford distractions. Every day mattered. Every hour was a chance to escape the dirt. I didn't have time to scroll endlessly or argue online. I didn't care about gossip, news, entertainment, none of it. My focus was survival. I lived like a man on a mission. I'd wake up, train, hustle, learn, build. No detours, no wasted motion. Because I knew every second I wasted was a second someone else was using to get ahead of me. I remember living in that freezing apartment with a broken kettle and no heating. The kind of place where you could see your breath in the air. And while everyone else was out partying, watching sports, playing games, I was grinding. Not because I was special, but because I had no other option. I cut everything out that didn't push me forward. If it didn't serve my goal, it didn't exist in my world. My time was sacred, untouchable. And that's what you need to understand until you guard your time like your life depends on it. You will never build anything that lasts. You want to kill laziness? Then eliminate the people and habits that keep it alive. Look at your phone. How many apps are designed to waste your time? How many people message you all day with nonsense? How many hours do you spend reacting to the world instead of building your own? You don't need more motivation. You need less distraction. You need to go to war against the things that steal your focus. Cut the noise. Delete the apps. Silence the people who drain your energy. Block out the distractions so you can finally hear your own thoughts again. People think I'm extreme. You're too intense, they say. You can't live like that forever. Yes, I can. Because this is what it takes to win. You think champions casually scroll Instagram for an hour every morning? You think killers in business or sport are wasting time watching motivational clips all day? No, they're out working, they're locked in, and you're out here letting strangers on the internet rob you blind, 1 second at a time. And don't tell me you're too busy. I hate that word. Everyone says they're too busy, but still manages to find 3 hours a day to consume garbage. You're not too busy. You're just too distracted. You're not lazy. You've just allowed your focus to be hijacked. And here's the thing, the more you let distractions win, the harder it becomes to resist them. It's like feeding a monster that eventually controls you. But when you cut them off, when you go cold turkey on the noise, you regain something powerful, clarity. Suddenly, your goals become clearer. Your energy becomes stronger. Your path becomes visible again. When I was building my brand, my businesses, my legacy, I lost friends. I ignored parties. I missed holidays. I didn't reply to every message. I didn't care about being polite. I cared about results. That kind of discipline looks insane to normal people, but normal people don't build empires. You have to protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And once you give it away to the wrong people, you don't get it back. Every message you reply to, every meaningless conversation you entertain, every notification you click, every time you just check social media, you're bleeding potential. And if you keep bleeding, you'll eventually run empty. So ask yourself, how much of your life have you handed over to distractions? How much time have you given to things that don't matter? And how much longer are you going to tolerate that? Discipline is focus. Laziness is noise. You don't beat laziness by doing more. You beat it by doing less of the wrong things, ruthlessly, without apology, until there's nothing left in your life but purpose. Discipline doesn't come from a single action. It's not about doing something right once or twice when you're feeling motivated. That's a joke. Discipline is about doing the right thing over and over again until it becomes who you are. Until it's automatic. Until the version of you that makes excuses feels like a complete stranger. You want to know how to kill laziness? You repeat discipline until it becomes your identity. Not something you try, not something you do when it's convenient, something you are. Let me be brutally honest with you. I didn't start out as some super disciplined machine. I didn't wake up one day with perfect structure, perfect habits, perfect self-control. I was broke, I was angry, I was hungry, and most of all, I was tired of being weak. There were days where I didn't feel like getting out of bed, days where I questioned everything. I remember one winter, broke, freezing, couldn't even afford proper heating, and I sat there wrapped in a coat, sipping cold coffee, trying to figure out what the FCK I was doing with my life. But here's the difference. I didn't stay there. I forced myself to take action even when I didn't want to. That was the key. It wasn't the perfect plan. It wasn't some magical schedule. It was one simple choice. Do it anyway. It tired. Do it anyway. Not in the mood. Do it anyway. No motivation. Do it anyway. And I did that every day until doing it became normal. Not brushing your teeth feels wrong, right? That's what discipline should feel like. Skipping the work should make your skin crawl. You can't build that mindset by doing something once. You can't build it by waiting for the stars to align. You build it through painful, boring, consistent repetition. It's not glamorous. It's not Instagram worthy. It's you alone, doing what needs to be done when nobody's watching and nobody's clapping. When I first started training seriously, I wasn't in a flashy gym. I was in dusty, low-budget places where the mat smelled like sweat and blood. No cameras. No audience, just me, pain and progress. Day after day. That's where character is built, in the repetition. Not in the highlight reel. People say they want results, but they don't want repetition. They'll show up once, go hard for a week, and then disappear the moment it gets uncomfortable or boringly noticeable. But the man who can endure the monotony of greatness, that man is unstoppable. I didn't become successful because I had more talent. I became successful because I out-repeated everybody. While they were resting, I was repeating. While they were relaxing, I was repeating. Discipline became my default, not because I was born with it, but because I earned it. It wasn't just in the gym, it was in every area of my life. The way I ate, the way I handled money, the way I treated time. I built systems and followed them to the letter. And the moment I started slipping, I corrected fast. I wasn't perfect, but I was consistent. That's what people forget. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up, even if it's messy, even if it's ugly. Because every time you show up, you're casting a vote for the man you want to become. People always ask me, how do you stay so disciplined? I don't. I became someone who no longer accepts being undisciplined. That's the difference. You're still treating discipline like a thing you borrow from time to time. I made it my identity. I don't skip workouts because I'm the kind of man who doesn't skip workouts. I don't waste time because I'm the kind of man who doesn't tolerate wasted time. And when that identity is locked in, discipline doesn't take effort. It takes over. You think you can stay lazy and somehow win? You think you can keep taking days off from your goals and still get results? You can't. Your habits are carving your future, whether you like it or not. If you keep choosing comfort, you'll live a life full of regret. But if you choose discipline long enough, it becomes part of your blood. It becomes your instinct. I didn't get here with hacks. I got here by waking up early for years, by training when I was injured, by working when I was exhausted. By saying no to things that felt good and yes to the things that built me. Repetition, relentless repetition. That's the secret nobody wants to hear. And once you embrace that, once you repeat discipline long enough, laziness isn't just gone, it becomes unthinkable. Discipline repeated daily turns into destiny. Don't need more motivation. You need to get brutal with your excuses. Stop negotiating with laziness. Stop flirting with your downfall. Stand up, lock in, and kill it before it kills you.